So today, guys, we're here. We're at 111 Woodfield, which is one of the clients that Norseman Construction's been working with. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about what your experience was like building your laneway house, getting it organized, what it was like to put together through the process. But also, I want to get a little bit into like some of the cost, get an idea of exactly what it takes to put something like this together. What was your experience like going through the architectural process?
Yeah, I think it was pretty positive. Like we had someone who would come over to us. We had some idea of what we wanted, pretty straightforward. But heard our brief, measured up what it was going to look like. We had a and Laura had a very firm idea of how much backyard she still wanted left and how much we wanted the footprint to be.
So what would you have to say to somebody who didn't know what they were going to do?
I mean, to be honest, we should probably say that when we purchased this house 2 years ago, we didn't even know we could build a laneway suite. It was someone from Norseman who happened to see the yard and said, hey, you know what? You probably would qualify for a laneway suite. And that kind of got our minds thinking even more so that we wanted to purchase this house. And,
oh, wow. So I didn't even know that. So actually, the influence behind like the ability to do this was one of the reasons why you actually got the house?
Absolutely. And we outbid 8 other people, and I can almost guarantee you most of them already were thinking about that.
How should a client go about looking to see if they are viable, or should they just call us?
I mean, I think like after, I think we built our first laneway suite, your first laneway suite, and I think your architect was amazing at kind of doing everything by the guidelines that the city had put out.
It was really quick.
Yeah, really quick.
Wasn't it? Turned around and we were like, actually, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Can we get a wet room in the shower, in the garage just for us?
Yeah.
Sure, let's see that. Can we get some storage? I can't do the storage, but I can do the toilet and the wet room. We're like, perfect, let's go with it. Came back, a few tweaks, and then, into the city. And Chris, it took less than 4 months. It was like 3.5 weeks for the approval from submission to, if you pay the fee, then you've got your permit. And we were like,
we were shocked.
We actually had to contact the architect and says, does this mean it's approved?
Yeah.
And he was like,
yes.
That's generally what they do. And like we had no idea because quite often, and we've heard stories that, the initial processes were taking way more than that. So I can say that in terms of time and burden on someone trying to look into this, we're far enough through the city's laneway suite bylaws and the process that it is more efficient than the horror stories you might have heard right at the start where everyone was feeling it through. So
no, that's great. And I think like one of the things that we've developed too, like through this, is we've developed what's called a 6-step process now that we actually use this as our basic plan, how we progress through almost all of these types of processes now, because of what we learned working on this particular project, and we've now carried that forward on all of our other projects. Now we've learned a lot. One of the things that we did learn on working on here was to prepare. So definitely bringing that basement renovation and organizing the infrastructure for this particular laneway suite, we had a little bit of a preemptive knowledge about how that was going to work.
Yeah.
What would you say to people who don't have that? Like, what would you say to them who maybe haven't had a basement renovation, who haven't planned for all those services to come through to their laneway house? Do you think that if you had to do that before your basement renovation, would that have impacted a hell of a lot more to your job? Like, would that have created more of a potential problem for you, or?
I think it would cause more disruption. So the disruption to an established premises and the going through and the boring of the holes and bringing those facilities through. You also need to generally, if you're not in a new build, you generally need to upgrade to a 200 amp service, which is part of the requirements, and make some decisions around. Do you want to separately gas meter, etc., electricity? So you'd have to make those decisions, and it's definitely more impactful and probably a little bit more expensive. So there's some more upfront fixed cost. We were very fortunate that when we worked with you and we had a plan, as Laura was saying, when we built the house, when we bought the house, and we were going through our couple of step process, Project A and Project B, that we were able to plan for these things, and that was a very smart move on Norseman's part, and then their advice to us, and we got that done. And But it may add, and I think what I'm trying to say is it might add a little bit more to your runway in terms of timeline.
Yeah, but I think if your basement was not pristine and you didn't mind kind of demolition of parts of the basement to do the services or whatever, then it wouldn't be a big deal.
You, our viewers, are looking at this and we're thinking to yourself, what, can I just erect a laneway house? There is some planning that needs to go into it that are to deal specifically with the services, and definitely through the process of the concept phase within our now 6-step process, we're going to weed those aspects out, so you're going to be able to understand what the implications of that would be ahead of time. Now, one of the things that we did with you while we were putting this together was we helped you kind of to cost this. We put together a budget. We worked on that budget together, and that was back and forth for a good month, almost 2 months, that we were able to put that budget together and construct it so that you knew ahead of time that you would be able to afford this particular project.
Yeah.
Now, if that process wasn't completed, how would you guys feel about walking into something like this just blind?
Oh, I mean, I think definitely with any renovation, you really, need to have a bit of a budget. I mean, often people say with renos that, you could end up going over budget, with hidden costs. And I would say that, I mean, at least our experience with Norseman hasn't been too bad in that regard.
Okay, break that down. You can't just say a little bit. Give us some more information as to what happened. Well, I guess
just like, there's always things like when, we did our original basement. I know there were times where, we were given opportunities to upgrade things more so than we had originally planned in the reno. And we thought, well, this is the best time to do it because, when are you ever going to go back and tear up walls and upgrade, to 200 amp service, etc. So because of COVID, that ended up, we decided to switch products that were more readily available, that were more expensive, so those costs went up. But generally, the budget that was outlined was pretty good.
And I think, Chris, and it was no secret to you that we went out and looked at other organisations that were either builders like yourself that hadn't done laneway house, or those that were saying, hey, we specialise in this, and we know they're all out there. So we decided to to get a quote off both a laneway specialist and another constructor. And so the one thing that I did notice that I'm in finance, so I'm very numbers orientated, and Laura is very good at the household budget. So together we're pretty detail orientated, and the Norseman quote was broken down into a lot of detail. And you get a certain amount of comfort from that. Others had, hey, we think it's going to be this, and if you want to do your job in winter, add 15% for the inconvenience. And some of that didn't really sit with you. And when you're going to take on a project of this size, and you want to make it affordable and you want to sit inside your budget, you want to know that it's not just lick your finger and add a number. It's
back of a napkin,
right? Like back of an envelope. It's about what about
Yeah.
this number? It wasn't smokes and mirrors. It was like, what? If you don't hire the toilet yourself, it's going to be $150 a month. And so that's an example. I need a project manager for at least 4 months. It could be 6 because we're in COVID, and it was line by line. So that's
and for the people who are watching and have no idea what he means by hire a toilet, that's because you have to have a toilet. Right. You have to have a toilet, a porta potty on your property during construction.
Well, we can always use yours.
Yeah, no, you definitely don't want that.
So one of the things, did you find? I know through working with Norseman, our experience working with our clients is a little bit different. We take a little bit more time to approach the project. Did you find that the time that we spent, were you anxious to get the job started, or did you find that the time working on that budget and putting that time in was worthwhile? Because I know our process is a little bit different than a lot of companies. And one of the things that, I've got some feedback from a few other clients that I'm working with. They've told me that, you guys, this is obviously more time that I expected to invest in the time to create that budget and put that project into order. Did you at any point feel that maybe was too much time that we put into it, or did you feel that time was worthwhile spent?
I think we felt that it was ever too much time spent.
I think up front you need to make sure that you've planned properly so you get the outcome that you're looking for. Every client's going to be different, Chris. If you've got a ton of money and say, here's X amount of dollars, just get the thing built, then you can skip 2 months and start doing this once you've got the permits. But we'd already done, we bought a new house, we'd basement renoed, And so this one was something we wanted to be able to control to that nth degree, and having those line by lines to a certain extent helped us to not only budget but also hold your feet to the fire a little bit and say, hey, you know what, this is not lining up, what's the story? And if it's not COVID related, then we're going to hold you accountable as well. And I think that helped us make us get what you see behind us, which is a pretty fantastic looking structure.
So we're gonna do a little bit of a tour later, and we'll kind of walk through the project, and you can describe some of the aspects of the project together. But from a business perspective, do you guys mind if I talk about budget with the audience?
Sure, no problem. Yeah.
So with this, we're looking at roughly the cost of this by the time you were finished was about $350,000.
I'd say pretty close. Yeah.
We're close to that.
Yeah.
So that budget that you would look to invest into that based on some additives that you would put in. Now, do you feel that now that you've spent the funds on this particular project and that this project now is actually giving you a return on your investment, do you feel that return on investment is a viable investment based on the amount of money that you put in?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, we've had our house reassessed since, and obviously this has given us a lot of value to our home.
How does that work? Explain a little bit how that, based on the fact that you now have this auxiliary building on your property.
Yeah.
When you did have your house assessed, what did they say? What did that work?
Yeah, I mean, the bank sent someone to assess it, and obviously we on the bottom we have a garage now. So it had a garage before, but it was dilapidated. So now we have a huge 2.5 car garage, lots of storage, lots of space, and then on top we have a whole other 1-bedroom rental suite. So obviously that increased the value of our overall home by quite a bit. So we were really happy that that return on investment.
The assessor come through, and I remember you telling me the story. The assessor come through and was like, "Wow, this thing's great.
Yeah, really impressed.
This is going to, really add value to your property." And without, disclosing those, what he came back with was really like, "Wow, are you serious?" The value that brings in downtown Toronto is quite large.
So tell me a little bit about, so you guys are now renting this out, and the rental of this, is this something that brings in a pretty good amount of money? How does this work from the rental perspective? If one of our clients is looking to do this and invest into this type of a project, and they're thinking about it, and they've looked at your project and they're going to identify with it, and they're going to say, this is something I can do. This is a $350,000 investment. I can borrow this money from the bank based on my existing house's equity. I have it. I can do this. What's their potential return on investment on something like this right now?
I mean, I think the return on investment is really good. It depends, I guess, on location or wherever, but and what you want to do with it. But, we originally built it thinking we would have a tenant here permanently.
You're just going to rent it out monthly.
Yeah, and as it was getting built, we were realizing, this is really great space. And, we had people come through and see it and say, maybe you should use this as guest property when you have visitors, but then put it on Airbnb. So then you're able to put on Airbnb for shorter stays. Otherwise, you have to put it on for... it can only go on Airbnb for 28 days minimum.
And
per rental client.
Yeah.
And what's the and again, I'm kind of getting into numbers here.
Yeah.
And tell me if you're okay with that. So on the return of investment, you're looking at almost sometimes $350 a night. Is that correct?
Yeah, a little less than that. We're hoping to get up to that actually, but because it's new, we're renting it for around $300 a night. And I think where most places people would have a laneway that they could build this, it would be sort of similar. I mean, we're really close to the lake here. We're close to downtown. And it's super quiet. So there's a lot of perks to being here. We're really close walking distance to Queen Street, and so you can walk everywhere here. So I think that helps increase the value, but also because it's brand new, it's not a basement apartment that's for rent. It's not a old house where someone's renting out part of their room.
Private.
Yeah, it's really totally private. If you look at in comparison to other properties on the market, it's pretty much above for a 1-bedroom apartment.
And it's not a condo. So I mean, I know that's really important. It's a big selling feature now. We could have easily, permanently rented that out. No one wants to be necessarily, if they can avoid it, be in a big condo with elevators. You can't get up and down because of COVID, because of those spaces. You can only get 4 people in an elevator, and so even the Airbnb alternative to, I could stay in a condo downtown, you know, but if you're traveling
Yeah.
here, you can come and go as you please. You don't see anybody.
I mean, and this place is booked. I mean, we had to book this just for tonight. So that's how busy this place is,
It is,
guys. So the fact that we had to book this for today's interview so that we could be here to talk to our clients about this particular place, they had to fit me in the schedule. So am I being charged like $400 for this today or what?
No, we'll let that slide.
We can give you a discount.
Okay. All right. Okay, guys, without further ado, maybe we do a little bit of a walkthrough and you can kind of show me what it looks like inside.
Sure.
Cool.
So this is what Norseman created for us, this beautiful one-bedroom apartment. Some of the finishings are definitely something that we had chosen. We wanted this to be a, really clean feeling, open space that kind of blended with the natural environment of our yard, with the outside and the bathroom. We've kind of gone with like slate tiles, and we wanted this to be very kind of clean and open so people could come in, have all the amenities that they need, dishwasher, full stove. We've got the cupboards full of everything that you need, a microwave, so that you can come in, put your stuff down, and just relax in this environment. With the living room, we, again, we've got a sofa bed, so if you have additional guests, we have space for them. And on the wall here, we've put, things from our local area, the beaches, St. Lawrence Market, the distillery, all things that are really convenient to this location. There's ample seating for the amount of guests that you would have in the property, and we have full cable TV and everything set up here. That was another thing that we really worked out with Norseman, was figuring out how to get proper internet into this space, given that it wasn't part of our household. And now we have excellent internet here. We were able to get a cable put in during the construction, and we put a separate modem in, and we have amazing Wi-Fi, which is something everybody wants. Let me show you our bedroom. Secluded, relaxed area that had a whole natural motif. So we wanted it to be, again, clean, feeling really fresh. So that's why we, got this, the kind of greens and the grays and the whites. And then we have the plant and just a simple photo on the wall, just to kind of, make it feel like it's a space that's something you can come into and relax in. Also huge windows again, and we have blackout blinds on all the windows so that morning sunlight doesn't wake you up. So with the bathroom, we really wanted to blend kind of a natural look and a natural environment from the outside into the inside. So we went with these slate gray tiles and just kind of, again, a really clean, fresh look. We have this huge walk-in shower that really has been a great feature. With the window here, again, you can't see down into our yard, which is a real bonus for people who are looking to build a laneway suite. And we have the rain shower head and also the other head, and it's really just a really nice spa-like bathroom in here. And for those people who stay for a long time, we also have a full laundry here in the cupboard, so that they can do their laundry. Welcome to our relaxing Airbnb apartment. Welcome to the Woodfield Laneway Suite.